What is up, ladies and gentle nerds? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and today is another edition of the Overthinking MTG podcast, the show where we take a look at an individual magic card, and in this case, a random magic card, and talk about it for at least 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and hit that random card button and jump right into the actions. Let's see what we get. Alright, so today we are looking at Yidaro, Wandering Monster. This is a legendary creature from Ikoria. It is an 8/8 trample haste creature for 7, 5 red, with cycling for 2, and when you cycle Yidaro Wandering Monster, shuffle it into your library from your graveyard. If you've cycled a card named Yidaro Wandering Monster 4 or more times this game, put it onto the battlefield from your graveyard instead. And you do this before you draw the card from the cycle. And that's important because if you're playing in paper, it's good to know that you have to shuffle your library first. That way there is a chance, albeit a slim one, that you actually draw the Yidaro that you did just shuffle into your library. So that's pretty darn cool. I think Yidaro is an interesting design. I feel like it's interesting because it's a legendary creature. It's also a dinosaur turtle, which is an interesting creature type. The creature types in Ikoria were a lot of fun. I enjoyed them quite a lot. The various dinosaurs and nightmares and whatnot. And I feel like Yidaro is an interesting card for a couple of reasons. One, it's terrible in Commander because this in your command zone means you can't cycle it. So it's a legendary creature that you never want to play as your commander, because it's just an 8/8 trample haste for 7 at that point. Which I guess if you're doing like a big chunky Voltron situation, it wouldn't be... I guess you could do worse, but building Yidaro in Commander would really just be to say that you did it. It's not really that great. So that's my take on that in Commander. But in constructed formats, it's an interesting build around because you can use it to cycle and therefore draw additional cards out of your library. But in addition to that, you'd be able to... Well, what else can this guy do? It's not really much. I mean, you're in a cycling deck... Let me put it this way. Ikoria had a lot of cycling payoffs. There were a lot of interesting cycling cards, and many of them were very, very good, such as all the 1-mana cyclers and cards like Flourishing Fox or Zenith Flare, which proved to be phenomenal in Limited and playable and competitive in Standard. So I feel like we've seen some of the absolute best cycling that the game has potentially ever seen in Ikoria, but on top of that, it had a lot of really weird cards, such as Yidaro, that leveraged cycling that didn't quite get there. Like there was Yidaro, for example. There was also Unpredictable Cyclone, which whenever you cycled a card, instead of drawing, you revealed cards from the top of your library until you revealed a card that shared a card type with the one that you cycled away, and then you put that onto the battlefield under your control. Which, when you cycle a Shark Typhoon into a Shark Typhoon, it feels great, but when you cycle one of your mana rocks into another mana rock, it feels really bad. And if you cycle, say, a Flourishing Fox into a Yidaro, that would feel pretty good too. But the problem is you're far more likely to cycle a Flourishing Fox into a Drannith Stinger or a Drannith Healer, which wouldn't feel nearly as good. So... Wizards tried to make kind of this weird janky alternate cycling deck an option, and it never really panned out, and I feel like Yidaro was a big piece of that. The other thing that I find really interesting about his cycling cost is Yidaro's cycling cost is 1 and a red. Now that's really relevant because you need to be running red in order to play this guy. Now if the cycling cost was a straight 2 or 3 even, but it was generic, then all of a sudden Yidaro could fit in any deck, and all of a sudden it would just be... Actually, I think Yidaro would be fantastic if the cycling cost was 1 and there was no red restriction whatsoever. Because then all of a sudden, what you get is you get an opt that if you've cast it 4 times, you get a huge monster onto the battlefield. That would be awesome. And in this case, what we get... It's a much worse version of that. You get kind of it's not even a Thrill of Possibility. I mean, cycling is fine, but cycling for 2, it just feels... It feels like you're spending a lot of mana for not that much reward. And the truth of the matter is, if you have managed to cycle Yidaro 4 times in this situation, you'd be able to... What you're spending is you're spending 8 mana on a 7 mana creature. It's just throughout the course of the game. Now, in that situation, you do draw 4 cards off of that 8 mana investment throughout the course of the game. So that's not nothing. But what the end result on Yidaro is, it's a fun creature with an interesting design, in an interesting design space that just isn't quite there. It's just a little too expensive for what you get. Now, the fact that it has haste is also relevant. I especially like that fact because in this situation, it needs to make an impact the moment it comes onto the board. It just has to. And it is an 8/8 for 7 with trample and haste. So if you were in a big chunky red deck to just play it, that could be fine. Actually, I have a deck that could potentially take advantage of this, leveraging Perforos the Bronze-Blooded, which I've talked about a lot on this show, I know, but it leverages big chunky red creatures to good effect. And the cool thing with Yidaro is you do get that cycling in the early game. So if you're in a big chunky red deck, having this as a late game threat, but an early game way to filter your hand and draw in, make sure you hit your land drops and draw into some of your earlier threats, this could be valuable. In a situation where you really need a Terror of the Peaks and you're sitting with 2 Yidaros in hand, being able to cycle those away to draw into more relevant cards could be really beneficial. Now, all that said, big chunky red is fun, but it's not really competitive right now. So take that, if you're looking for competition on the ladder, Yidaro is not here for you, unfortunately. So if you're looking to brew in Commander or you're looking to have competition on the ladder, Yidaro is not that great. Now, I feel like in Limited, Yidaro is pretty solid. Because in the early game, it cycles away. You get the advantage of thinning out your deck, and you only need 1 in a 40-card deck to potentially make an impact. You're probably not going to activate that last ability. Just in all likelihood, you won't be cycling this card 4 times. However, you might be cycling it once or twice, and then have 7 mana and be able to just slam it onto the board the old-fashioned way and swing out with it. That's far more likely to be how this card plays out. But the truth of the matter is, having an 8/8 7-drop that you can throw late in the game with haste, that ain't bad. Like, that's not a bad thing to have. So, specifically in a game of Limited, I don't think it's a bomb necessarily, but I think it could. And to be fair, I've never drafted Yidaro in Ikoria, so I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off base on that, but I feel like it could be pretty solid in that situation. But really, outside of that situation, this card is a fun, goofy build around, but it's not really that great, unfortunately. I have tried to make the Yidaro Unpredictable Cyclone deck work. It just doesn't. Even as a janky brew that, might have some kind of fun but not good type implications, it just doesn't quite get there, unfortunately. At least in my experience. Or let me put it this way. I have not been able to make it work. Maybe there's a way out there, but I haven't seen it yet, unfortunately. But I think Yidaro's fun. It is available in Arena, and it's also available in an alternate Godzilla form. This is actually one of the cards that did get the Godzilla treatment as Godzilla Doom Inevitable, which is the exact same thing, except it just has a picture of Godzilla on it. And so if you were to open the Ikoria collector boosters, there's a chance that you would get your hands on one of these, which is kind of interesting. And also, these skins are or were available in Arena. I don't know if they can be purchased at this point, but I know they were given out as promos if you were to draft Ikoria when it first dropped. So that was kind of a cool thing. And so if you see this on Arena, if you see people playing Godzilla Doom Inevitable, that's why. I personally think these crossovers, the crossovers handled like this are fun. I'm actually totally okay with crossovers as skins, because then what we're getting is we're effectively getting official alters of cards, and that is that's fun and delightful, and I don't see any problem with that. However, some of the other stuff that Wizards is doing with mechanically unique cards in crossovers, I'm not a huge fan of, but everybody's weighing in on that. And so I'll leave that for another video. But all in all, or another podcast, as it were. So Godzilla Doom Inevitable, super duper fun. Well, Yidaro, the Wandering Monster, interesting card. I like the idea. I love this card in theory a lot more than I do in practice, but all the same, it's a fun, interesting card, and I like it. Being able to run 4 of these in a constructed deck makes it far more likely that you'll actually activate that cycling ability, but it's still not likely at the end of the day, which is a bit of a bummer, but all the same, it's a fun card. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. This has been a delight, as always. You can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/hamhawks42, and don't forget that you are a good person, and you deserve to be happy. I'll catch you next time.